Is everyone ready? Okay. Well, thank you for being here this morning. Just in terms of background and process on how we handle situations like this, it's always been our policy since I've been mayor that when we have an officer-involved shooting, we go through a process. There's a process that happens on the police side. We're not able to interview the officers who were involved, I think, for 72 hours, and I believe that's in their contract, and so there are those logistics happening on sort of internal to the police department. But from our perspective, in terms of sharing information with the public, we have a, we call it a rapid response meeting, within hours of the event, just to make sure that we're sharing as much information as we can. We did that the day after this event, and then as quickly as we can, and I think in my experience, it's always been within 2, maybe there was a case where it may have taken 3 days at one point. We gather for this sort of a media event. We think it's an important part of transparency and accountability and openness. I do not know of any other city in the country that shares this information as quickly as Toledo does. In every other city I'm aware of, the release of this kind of video and the Q&A that we're about to have takes place at least a couple weeks after the event, sometimes a couple months. And there has been at least one case I can think of in Chicago where it actually took over a year. We believe, again, it's important for transparency to do it quickly. So to gather as we do within 2 or 3 days of the event, even for a difficult event like this, we think is an important part of maintaining the trust between the police and the citizens they serve. So that's just background in general. I would say that no matter what, what the video shows. In this case, the video that you are going to see is, it is difficult to watch. Anytime, you see someone being shot, and in this case, when you know that the individual loses his life, it is difficult to see that. There's no question. But you will also see things in this video that make it clear that the officers acted responsibly and in accordance with police policy and, frankly, in accordance with what I would describe as common sense. To that point, and the chief will walk us through this, and you don't always see it in videos like this, but at the moment where Mr. Carter shoots at the police, fortunately, his aim was low, and the round actually ricochets off the street, and you can see a puff of dust and gravel where the bullet shoot. You don't always see that in these videos, but it's just real clear evidence that he did discharge his weapon in that moment. The event that we're talking about here today was the third time that day that Mr. Carter had pulled a gun on someone and threatened someone with a gun 3 times just that day. This was Monday. Is this Monday? Yeah.
14th. Yep.
Yeah, Monday. So just on Monday alone, 3 times he threatened someone with a gun. The first occasion was a family member. Later that day, a citizen, he actually shot at that citizen. You'll see that in this video as well. And then the third time was the exchange with police officers. So, I don't know if we'll ever know, what is going through someone's mind or why one would behave like that in this span of just a few hours. But again, the events we're talking about today was the third time in a short span, 3 different occasions in different locations that he wielded his gun, and on 2 of those occasions he shot it. Fortunately, he didn't hit anyone either of those two times. But I think it just underscores the seriousness of the events. And I suppose, the last thing I'll say, I suppose, looking at this big picture, I think it is possible for both of these statements to be true. The first statement is that, you know, there is a finality and sadness when a human being loses his life in circumstances like this, and I think we can be sorrowful at the loss of a human life. I think that is a fair statement. It is also the case that the police officers acted the way any one of us would in this situation, certainly following policy and acting in a way that protected themselves and the citizens. For whatever reason, in these hours leading up to this event, Mr. Carter had demonstrated that he was a danger to himself and others. And our officers made the difficult decision, but in my judgment, it was the only decision they had to make, and I think the video bears that out. So both can be true. We can be, you know, as humans, we can be upset that someone lost his life, but we also can be appreciative that we have police officers who took the action that I believe had to be taken to protect themselves and other citizens of Toledo, and the video actually shows that as well. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Trenley, and he can walk us through the specifics.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. All right, thanks everybody for being here, and good morning. As the mayor said, we're here to talk about the officer-involved shooting that occurred on the 14th at 8:26 p.m. As we talked about, this is the culmination of multiple events that day, and we'll kind of walk you through the day and take any questions that you guys might have at the end. So 811 Earl Street at 8:26 p.m. is where the officers, well, excuse me, that's when the original 911 call came in, is 8:26 p.m. The officers encountered Mr. Carter at 811 Earl Street. So as we look at East Broadway and Madeline, this is where our initial 911 call comes in of a person with a gun that just fired at an individual. Thankfully, that individual was not shot. We do have actually ring camera video of the shooting at the at our resident there, and we will be showing you that as well. So this is a kind of a street view of 811 Earl Street. As you'll see when we start getting into our dash cam videos and our body camera videos, this is where our initial responding officers encounter Mr. Carter. So as the mayor alluded to earlier, the very first incident that occurred with Mr. Carter happened at 6:55 p.m. at 5625 Rywick. We received a 911 call from his sister stating that he had pulled a gun on her, and we responded to that scene and took a report. So here's our suspect, Terrell Carter Jr. As you can see, he was 39 years old. He does have a little bit of criminal history, including an open felonious assault warrant for him that stemmed from a 2018 incident in which I believe he stabbed another individual. He has a couple prior domestic violence from 2005 and 2016. So right now we'll just kind of run through the involved officers in this incident. We had 4 officers fire rounds during this incident. As you see here, the first one is Officer Tyler Gass. He has been on our department for 7 years, currently assigned to field operations, working 420, which is out of our central district, and he was working a 2-man unit, and Officer Glass does not have any active discipline at this time. Second officer involved, Officer Andy Novus, he was actually Officer Glass's partner in this, so he was working Unit 420 as well. He does have a previous discipline for failure to activate his body-worn camera, which was just a reprimand. So the second unit involved, first officer involved in that is Officer Jason Thomas. He has been on our department for 8 years, and as you can see, he was working a unit called 956, which is actually one of our out-of-service units that we assign to our downtown area across all 3 shifts, just to have a presence for our downtown. The 4th officer is Officer Rex Rutherford. He was working 956 as well, and he also has 8 years of experience with TPD. So the first thing I'm going to do is play the original 911 call that had us responding to Madeline Street there, and this is about the first shooting.
911, where's your emergency?
On East Broadway, you got a black male with a gray tank top with a black pair of shorts. Just shot at a guy right here on East Broadway. He's now walking north on East Broadway. I'm at 947, but he's steadily walking away with his pistol.
Okay, hold on. I gotta get the address put in before I can put it in. Is it
Yes,
listed
ma'am.
Broadway and Madeline?
Yeah, it's just he's north of Madeline right now.
Okay.
Yeah, he's almost at Woodville Road.
Okay, you said it's a black male, and I apologize. What did he have on?
He has a gray tank top and a black pair of shorts, black shoes, and white socks.
And he said he just shot at a male?
Yes, ma'am. He's standing right here, and I sat right here and heard it. Can you?
No one is shot
Yes,
at
ma'am. Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. And what is your name?
Charles. Right there, I see it, baby. I got it.
And
I
where
don't want
is
to
he
do
at
too
now?
loud. I don't want you shot.
Where is
I'm
he?
sorry, what's that?
Where is he at now?
So he's cutting through behind the store right now. He's hitting the alley, so chances are, if they don't do it quick, he's probably got to throw the gun away.
Okay.
Okay, so the next thing we're going to show is the security camera footage that we actually have of that shooting that the 911 call was called in for. And we wanted to start with a still shot of this because it does happen very quick. With the camera, it's motion activated, so it only picks it up right at the moment of the shooting. But as you can see in the picture on the left-hand side there, the suspect pointing a weapon at the victim running across the street, and then you kind of blow it up onto the right side there where, well, it's hard to see because it's grainy, but that is his firearm. And just to give you a little context as the video starts to roll, pay attention very quickly at the start of the video because that's when the incident happens. So as you can see, just nonchalantly walking down the sidewalk, pulls a weapon, fires, from what we understand, for really no provocation. I was told that basically the victim in this just kind of said, "Hey man, what's going on?" Something like that, and the suspect pulled out a weapon and fired at him. Thankfully, he missed again on this one. Okay, so now we're going to start showing you the dash cam video of the first responding unit that picks him up on Earl Street. And so for our dash cameras, they don't have audio. So for the original video here, you won't hear audio. You'll hear that when the body camera plays. But we think this image is very important because it sees how the officers perceive the scene as they approach the suspect. And once again, we want to just kind of give you a quick still shot here of the suspect. You'll see him pull out his firearm at the very beginning of this video, and then how things move from there. On this, Mayor kind of alluded to this earlier, this is actually when he fires. So right here in the screen, there's a little puff of cement dust. You'll see that happen, but it's sometimes hard to actually see it when you're not expecting it to happen. So we wanted to just kind of tee that up a little bit, just to, as you're starting to roll through the video, you're paying attention to a couple different cues. Okay. So here we're going to show one of the body cameras from Officer Rutherford's point of view. Obviously, all 4 officers were wearing body cameras, all 4 were active with body cameras, and all 4 of those videos will be supplied to you guys, so you can have the entirety. But for this particular setting, we just want to, have one video so you can see the scene. So if we can go ahead and start, Mr. Rutherford's.
Drop it! Drop it! Drop it! Drop the gun! Drop the gun! We got one running. Drop it! Jason, back up a little bit!
We're good. Jason, I have the rifle. I've got lethal cover. We're gonna move up. I've got command. Hands up, rear. I got it. So do not move. Do not reach for the gun. You understand me? Do not move. Do not move. Hands. Guns down by seat. Okay. Somebody move that gun.
I'll get it, I'll get it, I'll get it.
Pick it up, Henry. Pick it up. You're good. You're good.
Hold your gun. There you go.
What trying to verify, was it you guys that shot?
4-5. Stand by. Put him in cuffs. Put him in cuffs now. Fucking move. Wait till we get close. We close up. We got the gun on the way.
I'll talk to dispatch. I'll talk to dispatch. 956, yes. He shot around at us. We shot back. Send medical. Officers are behind suspect now.
Okay, hey.
Medical Terrell.
Get my med bag out of 3-1.
Yep. Oh, he's got a med bag.
Yep. I'm gonna get some chest seals.
Medical Terrell.
Hey guys, I need you to stay back, okay? I know. 956, any crew coming, come southbound Oak to Earl. Block the street on Berry, please. Hey, put a car here. Hey, put a car here and then one down here. Me and Jason. She shot at me and Jason. Does anybody need? I need some gloves. Anybody have some? Oh, no. Okay.
Okay, so just a couple things about that video, right? So number one, I'm actually thankful for one of those scooters being placed where it was, because him tripping over that could make the difference between him being able to immediately fire into the car as the officers were approaching versus officers moving and him moving. So for once, I am thankful for one of those scooters. But there's a lot going on in that scene. As you saw, he fires around at the officers, so the officers are at that point protecting themselves, returning fire. And there's also, here we have 4 officers that just had to use what turns out to be, deadly force. And they immediately have to transition from that incident to, I just had a guy that shot at me, that was trying to harm me, kill me, whatever his motivation was. Now all of a sudden I'm transferring from that person that had to end that threat to that person that's trying to save that person's life, right? So as you saw, and we blurred it out a little bit just for the sake of the family, sake of, it's not necessary for the scene. But those officers are immediately doing life-saving measures on the suspect, trying to, put chest seals on him, trying to save his life. Unfortunately, we weren't able to save his life, but it is just kind of the life of a police officer, right? So our officers have to encounter so many different things on a given day, and they have to be able to flip that switch immediately from taking that force to then trying to, save a life. It's commendable, and, it's what we train, it's what we do. To them, it's just part of the business. But there is something to be said about that psyche a little bit of having to transition that fast. So the officers did a great job. I mean, the chaos of the scene, it didn't get really chaotic, but immediately that one officer, Officer Rutherford, after he fired, now he's worried about blocking off traffic, worrying about containing the scene, having people stay back. He's still mentally processing the fact, while he didn't know at that point, but was involved in an incident that took somebody's life. So our officers have to multitask very fast. They have to be able to think on their feet. And, at this point, from all accounts, I don't like to say we're justified, unjustified, because we have not interviewed the officers yet. That will happen. But the evidence in the, videos we have, it's pretty clear. This person was intent on shooting at our police officers. Our police officers did their job and unfortunately had to take a life. So this is the firearm that we recovered from Mr. Carter. It is a High Point model GHP 45 ACP. As you can see, there were still rounds in the handgun as we recovered it. Okay, so that is just kind of a brief run-through of the chain of events. And I'm sure you guys are gonna have a lot of questions. And at this point, I will open it up for questions, and I'll try to answer everything I can. If for some reason you ask something that we don't have yet, we'll get it to you.
I guess I'll start. So starting off, you said that the first was with a family member with the sister. Did you guys get a call about that, a separate call?
Yes, we got a 911 call from her saying that he had just pulled a weapon on her.
And did anyone respond to that?
We did. We responded to the scene, took a police report from her, and then, eventually we encountered him because he was involved in another incident.
When the officers responded to that, they didn't see any reason to take any further action?
He was not on
He
scene.
wasn't there,
He
okay.
had fled the scene prior to our arrival. Sorry about that.
Around what time was that call from the sister?
That occurred at 6:55 p.m.
He was randomly shooting at people, it seemed like. You said, the guy said, "What's up?" and then he starts to shoot him. He was certainly a threat for the neighborhood, right?
Absolutely. So, as you can see from his manner in that original security video, I mean, just no regard for anybody in that neighborhood, just pulled out his weapon and started shooting point blank at a guy running across the street. So, I never try to get into their mindset or what they're trying to think or what they're doing because I just don't know, right? And we can't answer that. But the reality is, as quick as he pulled that gun on the police officer and the citizen, I mean, they're obviously, he did not have any regard for anybody else but in our neighborhoods.
They fired, he went down. There was a fair amount of firing that went on after he hit the ground. How do you address that?
Yes, sir. So, combination of things, right? So, if you see, and it's hard to see sometimes, but when you get the videos, you can kind of zoom in a little bit. He is still moving around. At some point, even after all the firing is stopped, he's still moving his arm around and stuff like that. So, the officers are on the scene and they're addressing what they perceive as a threat. So, video is never going to replace a human eye. So I can't, and we have not interviewed them yet, so I can't get into their mindset of what they saw, what danger they saw. It is our policy to continue to shoot until the threat has been neutralized. But you're right, there were a lot of rounds fired in this incident. There's reasons that happens in policing. There's things that we do to try to mitigate that. All of our officers are aware of the fact that they're accountable for every single round that is fired. And, we always look at these incidents, and we always kind of review them with our training section, with our administrative staff. Matter of fact, we discussed it with our administrative staff this morning at staff meeting, talking about future trainings that we need to do to try to mitigate number of rounds fired or how many officers fired sometimes. But I say that with one caveat. I am not saying our officers did anything wrong. I am not saying our officers weren't duly justified in doing what they did. I'm saying, as a police department, we always take these things into account. As a leadership team, we are always trying to figure out a way to get better, to provide a better service to our community, to make our community safer, and to make sure that we're doing the best we can as a police department.
How many rounds were fired?
Yes, ma'am, 73 rounds in total.
How many officers fired?
4.
How many were huddled around him kind of after?
There was roughly 6 or so at that point. I know a sergeant arrived on scene shortly after that. He was up there as well, so.
The officers obviously went into mode to help the suspect. What do you say about that?
I say it's commendable. I say that is the life of a police officer. You know, I've heard the saying before, you go from warrior to caretaker, right? And it is a mindset that we have to always have, that once that threat is neutralized, then we have to go into that life-saving mode. We have to go into the protection of the community, and Mr. Carter is part of our community, so we have to, at that point, try to save his life.
Did the family of Mr. Carter offer you any information on his mindset, what was going on with him, if he had any type of mental illness?
Yeah.
Plus, has your CIT officers ever had any contact with him?
So I don't know if our CIT officers have ever had any contact with him. On the initial call, the sister did say he has been diagnosed with multiple mental health disorders. We have tried to check on that to confirm that. As of yet, we cannot confirm that he has ever been seen, but we have not checked with every provider, right? So with the system in Lucas County, it's not always all connected. So, but we have started looking into whether he's been treated before or not, and at this point, we have not been able to identify that.
Next steps for the officers involved.
So next steps are Friday, we're hoping to get them in for their interviews. We'll go through the interviews with them, and at that point, they'll be put back on full duty if everything comes okay through the interviews, which I anticipate will happen. We also have our wellness unit working with them. You know, that night we always call in a member of that unit to come in for employee assistance, peer support. They'll do diffusions and or meetings with them with a mental health clinician, just to make sure that they're good to go and that there's no issues that they need further help with. But eventually they will be placed back on full duty.
Have any of the 4 been involved in a shooting before?
Yes, I believe Officer Rutherford is the one that has been involved before, but do you know for sure? Yeah, I believe one of them has, but I'll have to get that for you.
Any other questions?
A lot of times I know you try to use de-escalation tactics, but when your officers arrived, they already perceived him as a threat. Can you kind of explain why things happened the way they did rather than any sort of tactics to de-escalate the situation?
So at this point, as you saw from the video, is immediately when they pull to the scene, they're not even out of the car yet as he's starting to pull a gun out of his pants. Them telling them to drop the gun. The suspect did not give them an opportunity to de-escalate any further. Once you fire on a police officer, you've kind of already set that train in motion, right? You can't stop that actions from going to happen because the officer at that point perceives you as a deadly threat, and they have to neutralize that threat and take on top of the fact that he's already fired at a innocent member of our community. there is really no other actions at that point other than to end his threat of shooting at people.
No further questions, we'll go ahead and end your press talks for that.
Do you know when the final report is gonna come out?
Probably in the next couple of days.
Okay.
I mean,
People might think he said 73 times.
right, yeah, I got you, yeah. I'm just surprised no one asked that, actually.
Yeah. That's all, just,
Yeah.
just.
Yeah, I mean, just for you guys' information, initial coroner's report did show that he was hit 24 times.